Kadyrov is giving away iPhones. Putin has formed an alliance with Trump's wife. Kabaeva caused scandals over Putin's children. The Russian Orthodox Church is calling for prayers for Putin 3 times a day. A ceasefire on the front line. Bubonic plague in Buryatia. A new wave of protest in Russia. Lukashenko's army is ready for an attack and evacuation in Estonia. And that's not all. Hello everyone, this is Karina Klishuna with you, and this is the show In Trend. I've gathered a lot of interesting news for you. Believe me, we'll have plenty to discuss with you today. So let's get started. The head of Chechnya decided to hold a contest and give people brand new iPhones. Yes, Don has gone crazy again.
Kadyrov
announced a giveaway of 10 enemy iPhone 17s among participants in the Bank of Russia's voting. He wants the Grozny city complex to be depicted on the 500-ruble banknote. He's using iPhones to motivate residents of the Republic and other regions to vote.
The closer the nationwide vote for the symbols on the new 500-ruble banknote comes to an end, the more heated the final battle becomes for the coveted spot between the main contenders for the reverse side of the bill. I am announcing a large-scale contest among the residents of the Chechen Republic and anyone else who wishes to participate. 10 iPhone 17s will be raffled off.
At the same time, the Bank of Russia had previously reminded everyone that the voting should be conducted on a voluntary basis and without any external pressure.
As early as 5 in the morning, residents of Grozny come out to the square and vote for the Grozny city panorama to appear on the 500-ruble banknote.
But as reported by Russian media, it is highly likely that the banknote will feature not Grozny city, but a view of Mount Elbrus. And the whole reason is the controversy surrounding Don.
Ramzan Akhmatovich thinks he is allowed more than others. In some cases, that's true. But he should reconsider his relationship with real military personnel. The outrageous incident with General Shamanov has worried many. And within the military brotherhood, there is a unified stance on this matter. We don't abandon our own. As we know, Vladimir Putin supports this same position.
Even the vote on the design for the banknote can't happen without politics. But the voting is already closed. Kadyrov is unlikely to win, but the iPhones that were promised still have to be given away. Trump received support from where it was least expected. During a briefing, Putin stated that the authority of the Nobel Committee has been lost because the Peace Prize should have been given to Trump. It's not for him to judge, but he will judge anyway.
It's unlikely that any of your viewers or listeners would object. Unlikely. Let me explain what I mean. There have been cases when the committee awarded the Nobel Peace Prize to people who did nothing for peace. And in my opinion, with these decisions, they have caused enormous damage to the prestige of this prize. Well, someone comes along, good or bad, and right away, a month or two later, boom, they get it. For what? They did absolutely nothing. Well, that's exactly how it is. They work, but these are supposed to be awards for some kind of achievements of ours. So I think the prestige has been largely lost because of this. But God be with him, it's truly not for me to personally judge whether the current sitting United States President genuinely deserves the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize or not. I honestly don't know. However, it is undeniably clear that he really is doing a substantial amount of work and making significant efforts to actively resolve numerous incredibly complicated and deeply entrenched crises that have unfortunately lasted for many, many years, and in some cases even several decades. I've already said this for sure. I know that when it comes to the crisis in Ukraine, he is genuinely striving to resolve it.
Grandpa's yes man, that's Lukashenko. He also disagrees with who was given that prize. He was more specific in his statement.
I just remembered something silly. Trump deserved that Nobel Prize. It should have been given to him for all the reasons, especially considering that lately the Nobel Prize has been awarded to just about anyone for any reason. Well, remember, in the past, there was a US president who got the prize just for becoming president, even though he hadn't done anything at all. Trump did quite a lot for world peace. They did a real disservice to the peace process itself, everywhere. Trump might take offense. Well, that's precisely what I'm asserting. The esteemed Nobel Committee, in its considered judgment, did not award the prestigious Peace Prize specifically for the advancement of peace itself, but rather, quite surprisingly, to those individuals who are demonstrably not genuinely interested in fostering global peace.
Moreover, Trump publicly thanked Putin for his support. In turn, the US president stated that for this Nobel Committee of yours, politics has supposedly become more important than peace itself. But he didn't admit that awards are more important to him than peace itself. The parade of foolish statements continues with the Russian Orthodox Church. But there, every day brings new characters worthy of study in psychiatric hospital labs. One of the priests started claiming that women are to blame for men's crimes.
People suffer because of women. How many crimes are committed because of those who want too much? They want too much. She wants to live like a queen. And the husband is already at his limit. No, I just see how many stories like this there are. One job, a second, a third. I look at him and he's just going to break down. That's it, he'll burn out. And then that's it, there won't be a man left, he'll just burn out. And it's never enough for her. She wants this, she wants that. She wants endless vacations. She wants expensive things too. This exists in our lives.
That's how it is. Wanting to live a normal life doesn't turn out to be a bad thing. Although Patriarch Kirill himself has said that, on the contrary, you should live this life, let's say, brightly.
Eat, drink, have fun, because tomorrow you'll die. You only live once. If you need to trample someone, trample them. If you need to deceive, deceive. If you need to ruin someone's life, go ahead and ruin it. Why should you care about someone else's life?
Well, that lined up nicely. What do you think? Which priest is right? Or should they all just be thrown into the pot? But as long as they're praying for Putin, they can say whatever they want. Moreover, Russians were even shown how to properly pray for Putin. And they urge people to do this at least 3 times a day, at the very least. They demonstrated the proper way during a gathering of priests in the Dnipro military group. To
the esteemed Lord President, to the truly God-anointed Vladimir, and to all our brave and dedicated warriors, along with their beloved families, and indeed to all devout Orthodox Christians everywhere. Our beloved Lord Vladimir and his cherished wife, we humbly pray that you grant them abundant health, eternal salvation, swift and merciful deliverance from all tribulations, and a secure and peaceful shelter. O Lord, we implore you to bestow upon them all that is truly good, profoundly blessed, and eternally prosperous in their lives.
do this 3 times a day and a miserable old age is guaranteed for you. Meanwhile, Putin, whose army is using horses at the front due to a lack of equipment, has announced that Russia will soon have new weapons.
I truly think that we will have the distinct opportunity to officially announce very soon about the significant new weapon system that we once previously mentioned. It is currently appearing, actively undergoing rigorous testing, and the comprehensive tests are indeed going exceptionally well.
Gentlemen, before your very eyes is the truly elite transport of the esteemed 810th Brigade. These are donkeys, damn it. Yes, donkeys. I'm not joking. This one here is responsible for logistics, carrying water, and sometimes, if the commander is lucky, him too. And the one in the back, that's our armored one. Can't be penetrated, simply because no one ever manages to hit it.
And all of this is because of fear. After all, Putin got scared that Trump would send tomahawks to Ukraine. But the old man is convincing people that those tomahawks of yours aimed at Moscow are just for show.
Neslav Pavachenko, now on the Zvezda channel. In Kyiv, Zelensky is threatening to strike Russia with tomahawks, practically aiming at the Kremlin itself. It all depends, and some even say that this is a kind of blackmail. Blackmail against Russia? You didn't...
Misspeak, and it's showboating too.
Thank you.
It's present here.
He said it and bit his lip. He lies as easily as he breathes. But at the same time, he stated that if such missiles are supplied to Ukraine, Russia will strengthen its air defense systems. But for now, apparently, there's no need to strengthen them, so it'll do for now. The problems there aren't just with air defense and donkeys. There are also problems with family studies classes. Yes, brainwashing children is more important than the children's lives themselves. In case you forgot, family studies is a new subject in schools that was introduced last year. But it turned out there aren't enough people and there's simply no one to teach it. That's why the Ministry of Education will be training future teachers in pedagogical universities. There will be an entire course called My Family at these universities. Moreover, after such lessons, they're proposing to introduce an exam. What? But will there be practical classes on how to have as many children as possible as quickly as possible? That hasn't been specified. Meanwhile, there might be a truce on the front. An Olympic truce. The Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs stated that Italy is calling for a ceasefire in all wars during the Winter Olympic Games, which will take place in February. The idea, of course, sounds incredible. But the Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs supported the idea of a truce with Russia during the 2026 Games.
We support such a call. In addition, it is worth recalling that the Russian Federation has started a number of wars during the Olympic truce. In particular, it began its invasions of Georgia and Ukraine during such a truce.
But they noted that Ukraine is ready for a truce even before the start of the Olympic Games. However, the Russian Federation continues to ignore all calls for a ceasefire. So far, the Kremlin has also not commented on Italy's proposals. I know that many of you are watching us from outside Ukraine, and I'm curious to know which country you're watching this video from. Do you support such a truce? Write in the comments. I'd be interested to learn about the geography of our viewers and your opinions on what's happening. But it seems that such a proposal was not heard in Belarus. The Belarusian Ministry of Defense stated that their armed forces have been brought to full combat readiness. The troops were put on alert as part of an inspection ordered by Lukashenko. Some military units will move to the areas specified in the order to carry out a set of tasks. What exactly these tasks are has not been specified. Are these news items related? It's unclear. But the Baltic countries are preparing for mass evacuation in case of a threat from Russia. According to Reuters, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are developing contingency plans in case of an invasion or a large-scale concentration of Russian troops. These plans include the evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people. The preparations cover the population near the borders with Russia and Belarus, totaling about 400,000 people. Estonia plans to house a tenth of its population in temporary shelters. Latvia is counting on evacuating a third of its residents. Other scenarios include sabotage of communications or transportation infrastructure, a massive influx of migrants, civil unrest among Russian-speaking minorities, or a fake news story that triggers a mass exodus of refugees. World War III. Amidst all this panic, Pashinyan made me laugh. He showed his daily work routine. He sits by himself, listens to Zemfira's songs, and calmly goes about his business.
Then something about these Bubonic, these foolish ones of ours, will certainly get caught. We are raising them and only need to see.
He posted this on his Instagram. He didn't specify in the song who he was apologizing to.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Meanwhile, there's a protest in Vladivostok. It's been a long time since anything like this happened. More than 500 people came out to protest against the increase in the recycling fee. A sanctioned rally against the increase of the vehicle recycling fee was held at the city youth center. The protesters were outraged because, in their view, the increase in the recycling fee in Russia could raise the prices of imported cars by several 100,000 rubles.
Yes.
Imagine they didn't even detain anyone. The participants of the rally signed a collective appeal to Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin, demanding the cancellation of the reform. It's a pity, of course, that they still haven't realized how little Mishustin cares about this. And now we have a new alliance. Putin and Melania Trump. The First Lady of the United States stated that in the past 24 hours, 8 Ukrainian children have already returned to their families in Ukraine after negotiations between her representatives and Putin.
Good morning. In a world where dreams were truly fulfilled, not like in a devastating war, but rather in a peaceful and prosperous existence. It was not insignificant how President Putin received my lady last August. He sponsored the publication of the book, clearly signaling the distinct possibility of a meeting with us, and further revealed significant details concerning Ukrainian children currently residing in Russia. Let me remind you
that the letter from Melania to Putin was personally delivered by Trump during negotiations in Alaska. An open channel was established on this issue. Moreover, Melania and Putin agreed to cooperate for the benefit of all people involved in this war. In this way, Putin essentially admitted to stealing children, but that's already a feat. But what about Putin's own children? They have a whole spy game going on. All of Putin's children have cover identities. Putin and Kabaeva's sons were given cover surnames and are registered in documents as Ivan and Vladimir Spiridonov. This was written by the authors of the book The Tsar in Person. Putin's daughters from his first marriage, Katerina Tikhonova and Maria Vorontsova, also live under fake surnames. Or as Putin says, these women...
You just mentioned some very important questions related to the business aspect. You specifically mentioned one particular woman, and then you also brought up the second woman.
Putin's illegitimate daughter lives in France under the surname of his long-deceased friend as Elizaveta Olegovna Rudnaya. Putin's KGB past never leaves him. By the way, as Russian media write, citing sources in the security services, Kabaeva caused quite a scandal over how Putin celebrated his birthday. He didn't even visit the children for half a day, but instead flew to St. Petersburg for a meeting with the generals.
Notably, Kabaeva had previously never commented on spending time together with the president. To be fair, it should be noted that the relationship between Kabaeva and Putin has gone through many different stages. At the same time, Kabaeva is also concerned that more and more details about her life and her children with Vladimir Vladimirovich are appearing in the tabloid press.
The media do not say how the FSO knows about this. But the fact that more and more information is surfacing about the children and Putin's family is indeed true. But the children are living just fine even without their father. They lack for nothing, unlike the residents of the entire Buryatia region. There, due to an outbreak of bubonic plague, eating marmots has been banned. Such recommendations were issued by the Regional Service for the Protection, Control, and Regulation of the Use of Wildlife Objects. Because it is marmots that can carry the bubonic plague. The Buryat Nature Supervision Service recommended not only to avoid eating marmot meat and organs, but also not to touch sick or dead animals. Do not set up camp near burrows, rodent colonies, and do not walk in light open shoes or barefoot. As if the plague was the only thing missing. But wait, do they actually eat marmots there? And finally, if you thought that after all this news the world is going crazy, you were right. In the East, people have already started to lose their minds and have put on some rather interesting performances. What do you think? Why between the legs? I'm waiting for your answers in the comments.